Britain's takeover began in a series of events. It started when Britain built the East India Company. Although the East Indian Company had been trading somewhat peacefully in India since the 1600s and had been allowed to establish 3 sovereign reigns, thus guided commercial bases, it was not until after 1750 that the East India Company developed more. The beginning can be attributed to the British presence between 1750 and 1765, when the British gained a bridgehead in eastern India. This was partly due because military symmetry favored them, and partly because of political culture condition of India, involving the decay of the existing Hammock power of the time. This offered the potential power to a number of ambitious power seekers among the East India Company to take hold of a degree of autonomy for themselves and to expand their territory. The military strength of the British in association with the local princes allowed the British to secure greater security for trades and funds to expand commercially. Unfortunately, the British policy reduced her Indian allies to mere puppets. But this did not stop Indeed, the alliances between Robert Clive and Warren Hastings with the Indian princes stemmed from the desire to enlist the help of the British army to gain strength in their eternal rivalries. East, Mughal-style armies were never able to defeat the British. The elite cavalry were wielding lances and maces. By 1761, the French had been rendered thoroughly helpless due to their main base of Pondicherry being captured. In 1760, a new military power rose. Hyder Ali Khan was the first independent Indian prince to seriously begin to reform his infantry. The British fought 4 wars with Hyder and his son Tipu Sultan between 1767 and 1799. Despite the company's military strength, Hyder was able to defeat them between 1767 and 1769, and then fought through a standstill in 1780 through 1783. Tipu Sultan was finally defeated and killed outside his capital, Srinagar, in 1799. A treaty was signed and the Indian kingdom was truly and utterly defeated and helpless. The rules of the new government set up by the company were based on those of Indian states, though Indians did effective administrative work. The main function of the government was to collect taxes. Whatever the farmers produced, nearly 1/3 of the production was meant to be paid for tax. Most of the farmers were producing crops British preferred, usually cotton and other raw materials. This amount was passed to the state with the help of a series of intermediaries who used to keep a percentage for themselves. The rule of the British that gradually came to be known as the British Raj exploited the economy of India massively. They introduced various oppressive laws that led to millions of people to starve to death. The most impressive instance was Champar in Bihar, where farmers were forced to produce crops that were not food grains during the seasons of famine. They continued to be taxed heavily during this whole period of famine. The main aim of the British rule was to acquire cheap raw materials from India and export them to their own country and simultaneously construct an intern market. The Raj effectively considered the native population second-class citizens, a formula that was repeated in many other countries around the world. The largest rebellion against the British rule took place in 1857 through 1858. It was known in Britain as the Indian Mutiny. This is because it began with a rebellion by Indian troops serving in the army of the British East Indian Company. British rule in India was handled by the East India Company. Indian historians dislike the term mutiny because it suggests that only Indian troops were involved. In fact, once some of the Indian troops did revolt, the rebellion against the British rule spread rapidly and involved many local Indian leaders who had a wide range of complaints against the British rule. The British preferred to think of the rebellion as a mutiny because this world disguised the huge scale of the rebellion. The word mutiny also covers up the involvement of ordinary Indians. The British preferred to keep this quiet as it suggests that the British rule was not widely accepted in India. While the British were table leaders, they brought in new inventions. They brought in an irrigation system which increased the amount of land available for farming by 8 times. They developed a coal industry that had not existed before. Public health and life expectancy increased under the British rule, mainly due to improved water supplies and the introduction of chlorine treatment against malaria. Big landowners, Indian princes, and the Indian middle class all gained in terms of job opportunities, business opportunities, and careers in areas like law. Ordinary Indians gained little, but the argument still continues about whether the British rule made much of a difference in their lives. Many historians think that the majority of Indians would have remained poor even if they had been ruled by Indians.